What's up, awesome YouTubers? Ryan1988 or Justin back here to do a video for you all. Hope you're all doing well out there. And today I thought I would review Scream 2022 or Scream 5 for you all. Give you my brief thoughts on the film without giving anything away. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, even though probably a lot of you have seen it if you're a Scream fan. But if you haven't yet, I'm not going to talk spoilers. I'll give you my brief thoughts, tell you what I thought about the movie. But before I do that, anybody who comments down below, definitely give me your thoughts on the movie. What did you think about it? What do you think of the franchise? Because we're going to talk about the franchise briefly at the end. But no spoilers, guys. Let's not spoil this movie for anybody. But give me your thoughts. I would love to hear them. Let's get started. So, Scream 2022, this is one of my most anticipated films of the year. And I have to say, walking out of the theater, I was highly impressed with it. And overall, I love this film. This movie has small flaws with the film, but overall, very happy with the film. This is first off, a beautiful tribute to Wes Craven, who directed the first four movies. And obviously, as horror movie fans, as film lovers, Wes Craven was probably a part of your life like he was a part of my life. Nightmare on Elm Street, so many other movies, Scream being another one. Rest in peace to Wes Craven. And, huge props and a huge high five to these writers and directors who really love the franchise. And you can see it with this movie when it comes to the directing, the way the movie looks, the music, the Easter eggs, nostalgic stuff in this movie that when you watch the film, you're going to catch it probably 2 or 3 times when you watch the film. There's some great stuff in this movie, and the directors, really love what Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson brought to life 25 years ago and throughout the franchise, what they brought, especially Wes Craven being a part of the first 4 films and directing them. So huge props to the directors, writing, directing, the look of the film, everything about this movie. If you love the franchise, especially the first movie, especially the first 2 at least, or the first 3, you're really gonna love this, So my only gripes with this film, because I overall love it. I think the characters are great. I think the music's great. Again, the directing, the way the movie looks, the writing, a lot of this I love, but my only flaws with the film have to be with the third act. I think the third act could have been better. I think the reveal of a killer in this movie, I'm not going to say how many killers, but a reveal of a killer was something that I saw coming right from the beginning when you see them on the screen. That person screams killer. Get it? Screams killer. And I kind of saw that one coming. I think with this movie, and with 4, as far as the reveal of the killer or killers, they're probably my least favorite killers out of the franchise. The reasonings for what they're doing, they're not great reasons. It's not great to kill anybody, but the reasonings for why they're doing what they're doing in Scream 4 and in this movie, are probably my least favorite killers. I don't know, that probably doesn't make sense, but the third act, kind of like with Scream 4, I feel like, those are the flaws with the movies. But overall, I love this film. Some other things I love, this movie has emotion. There's some great emotion in this movie. There's a moment where I almost cried in the film. Actually, I did tear up. There's some intense moments. There's some scares. It's brutal. I think this is probably the most brutal Ghostface has been, if not probably the second to the closest with the first movie, which is another thing I want to talk about. I think this movie is probably the most serious and most dark film in the franchise since the original. Yes, you have the humor like you do with every one of these films, but it's very subtle. And I think the intense moments and scary moments in the film are definitely, intense and scary and brutal. So yeah, Scream for me, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. You have, again, great characters in the film, returning characters, Nev Campbell as Sidney Prescott, Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers, and probably the standout performance in this movie out of anybody is David Arquette as Dewey. David Arquette is amazing in this movie. This is his best performance as the character. Really loved it. Really loved him in this movie. And yeah, that is the best performance. Again, surprises. You're going to have great surprises throughout the film, which I don't want to give anything away. You're not going to see some things coming. Some things when I was watching the movie, I was really surprised with. So Scream 2022 or Scream 5, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to rate this movie 4 out of 5. I love the film. I highly recommend seeing it, guys. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely do so. Highly recommend it. And yeah, I cannot wait to own this movie on 4K. It's going to be a great rewatch when it comes out on 4K. So going into another part of this video, I want to rank the franchise all together now, since I've seen the new movie and since I've rewatched the first 4 films leading up to the new Scream. I want to talk about them, and I want to give you my ranking, and I think this will surprise people, but this is my personal ranking. Let me know your ranking down below. Let's be kind to each other. Let's not be hateful. If our screams don't match up with other people's screams, when it comes to ranking the franchise, what do we appreciate and love about these films? Where we rank them? Let's just be kind and respectful down below. But coming in at number 5 for me, with all the films that we have, number 5 is Scream 4, which I know a lot of people have this movie high up on their list, and that's totally fine. Again, I respect everybody's opinions, but for me, Scream 4, while I do really enjoy this film, this isn't a film that I dislike at all. And in fact, I like it more now than I did when I saw it in theaters. I do really enjoy it. I think the film has some great moments. I think it has some intense moments. There's definitely some brutal kills in this movie. You got a great character with Kirby. I love that character, and fingers crossed, if they do any more Scream films, we will see Kirby again. I love the character Kirby. She's one of my favorite, if not my favorite character in this whole entire franchise. Absolutely love her. Probably my second favorite character after Sidney Prescott, but love Kirby. Huge shout out to that character. Please bring her back somehow. I would love to see that. So Scream 4, some of my gripes with the film. Again, you got some great writing in here. You got some intense moments. You got overall, some great characters. You got characters that are 50-50. You're great characters, you're not so great characters. Where this movie falls for me out of all the films is, one, the way the movie looks. I don't like the way the film looks. I don't like the cinematography in this movie. If you see the first 3 films and even the new Scream, they have kind of more of a intense, kind of a dark tone to them, more serious tone. I love the way those movies look. And with Scream 4, the slick style that this movie has, this kind of modern style that the film had at the time, I'm not a big fan of it. Especially, again, if you watch these films all together as a marathon, this one really stands out when it comes to the cinematography, and not a big fan of that. Some of the writing, they definitely had some writing issues with this movie. 2 different writers, Kevin Williamson and Aaron Kruger, who are part of other films in this franchise. You can definitely tell some writing is better than others, and Kevin Williamson being the better writer. And Aaron Kruger, while not being a bad writer, he's definitely the weakest of the 2 main writers that we've had of this franchise. And then the third act, the reveal of the killers. I'm not a big fan of the killers in this movie. These are probably 2 of my least favorite killers of the franchise. And if you like them, that's totally fine, but I'm not a big fan of them. I'm not a big fan of their reason for doing what they're doing. Doesn't really make sense, in my opinion. And there's no reason to kill anybody, but the reveal of the killers, why they're doing what they're doing in this movie itself, I'm not a big fan of. So number 5 is Scream 4. Coming in at number 4 is the latest film, Scream, and I think this film, throughout the years, will probably jump ahead, but right now it ranks in at number 4 since I've only seen it once. Again, I've talked about my pros, my cons with this movie. Not many cons. I love this film. This film and everything else I love. Again, huge, high five, huge, just shout out to these directors and writers who you could tell really love the franchise, love Wes, love Kevin Williamson, love these characters. So Scream 4 comes in at number 4 for me, or Scream 5, I'm sorry. Scream 2022 or Scream 5 comes in at number 4 for me. So coming in at number 3 is probably the most underrated, most hated, most underappreciated Scream movie, and that is Scream 3. Again, I talk about Aaron Kruger. He wrote this movie. I feel out of his 2 films that he had some part of in this franchise, his writing is definitely better in this movie. This movie still has some fun humor, but it has a lot of intense moments, especially the opening of the film. It's very intense. The characters, and it goes back to the writing, they're not some of the best characters. It's not some of the best writing. Besides Parker Posey, who I love, and a lot of the returning characters. The writing in general in this movie, you could tell at the time compared to the first 2 films, really was lacking. You had Wes Craven as a great director, but the writing was missing from Kevin Williamson. And for me, I think that's the biggest flaw with this film. And I wouldn't even say it's a big flaw. I think it's just a tiny flaw with this movie. Because overall, I love this. I love the setting. I like the fact that it takes place in Hollywood. I like that it's a movie within a movie, sort of. I love the climax, the reveal of the killer. At the time, I feel this would have been a great trilogy, the way this movie kind of concludes everything. So if it was only a trilogy, it would have been a great send-off. So coming in at number 3 is Scream 3. Again, I think it's gets a lot more hate than it deserves. It's underrated. It's underappreciated. I absolutely love this. So coming in at number 2, my number 2 and number 1 were a toss-up. It goes back and forth. It always will. But right now, coming in at number 2 is Scream. So from 1996. And this is really tough for me because my memory with this movie goes back to the mom and pop video store days where, me and my sister and my friends, we went to the video store in our local town and rented Scream on VHS. And I think we watched it 2 or 3 times before we brought the film back to the video store. And I absolutely love this. This is one of my favorite movies. It's one of my favorite horror movies. I absolutely love this. You got Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott. She is fantastic. I love her. She is my favorite final girl. Yes, Halloween is my favorite horror movie of all time, the original Carpenter movie. It's my favorite movie of all time, and I love Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis as a character, as an actress and a character. I love her. But Neve Campbell for me is my favorite final girl. I love Neve Campbell in general. I love Sidney Prescott. Love the characters in this movie. Talk about, Kevin Williamson's writing. It's fantastic in this. And one of the things that I love about Kevin Williamson as a writer and producer and whatever he's involved with is he knows how to write characters, especially with his writing. He knows how to write characters. You see it in movies and television shows. He's great. And, he knows how to write, young teens, teenagers or young adults in his movies and television shows. It really shows in this movie, and I know what he did last summer and some of the other stuff that he's been involved with. So huge shout out to Kevin Williamson. Wes Craven, fantastic. Just amazing, and what a loss because I'm still missing him today, like many of you guys. He had a huge impact on film and horror movies, and definitely with this franchise. And Scream was his comeback horror movie. And Scream was also the horror movie, and I know some people kind of don't like it now like they used to, but I feel like Scream, in my opinion, was definitely the rebirth of this genre that a lot of us love. Yes, there was previous movies in the 90s before Scream that are amazing still today, but Scream really brought this genre back to life, and I still give huge props to this movie. I still think the film's groundbreaking for that reason, 25 years later. And so Scream for me, I love the film. It's so hard for me to rank this movie below my number 1 because they're very close together. They both rank 5 out of 5. But coming in at number 1 is Scream 2. And rewatching these movies, Scream 2 for me, it's a fantastic movie, fantastic horror movie, fantastic sequel in general, not just a horror movie sequel, which is one of the best horror movie sequels, but it's also just one of the best sequels in general. And I love this film. I feel like they upped the stakes in this movie with some surprising deaths and some heartbreaking deaths that we had in the movie. I think the characters, old and new characters, are great. Again, directing by Wes Craven, amazing. Writing by Kevin Williamson, I feel like is even slightly better in this movie. I talk about upping the stakes, and they definitely did that in this movie. When it comes to the reveal of the killers in the film, Laurie Metcalf as Mrs. Loomis, she goes from the beginning of the film being, what's the character's name? Debbie Salt, who is this kind of sweet reporter. And by the end of the film, it's revealed that she is Mrs. Loomis and she's out for revenge. And she just switches characters. And she's amazing in this. So huge shout out to Laurie Metcalf. She's fantastic. And a huge shout out to Neve Campbell and, David Arquette and Courtney Cox. I feel like they give some of their best performances in this movie. But the best performance is Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott. I feel like out of the 5 films that we've had, this is her best performance, and I love her in this movie. We got introduced to her in the first film, and, she's a great character in that film. But this is where I think Sidney Prescott, Neve Campbell really shines in this Scream franchise, and I love her in this. At the end of the film, the climax where she's going one-on-one with Mrs. Loomis is really intense. It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite third act in the franchise. And going back to Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott, definitely the best film with Sidney Prescott, the best performance by Neve Campbell in the franchise. I love Scream 2. It is my number 1. Again, it's it's going to be a toss-up in the future between Scream and Scream 2. But right now, Scream 2 is my favorite of this franchise. Rewatching them, I love a lot of these movies. There's only one film that I really enjoy, and that is Scream 4. Everything else I love. So going back to the new Scream, wrapping this up, if you haven't seen it yet, guys, give this movie a watch. Go check it out in theaters. Or if you don't want to see it in theaters, but you want to wait till, it hits home video, definitely watch this movie, guys. This is a film for the fans of the franchise. It's a huge love and respect and tribute to Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson and a lot of our favorite characters in this franchise. It brings new characters to the franchise who I think are great in this movie overall. So definitely check out Scream 2022 or Scream 5 in theaters or when it comes out on video. Highly recommend it. And before I go, I just want to show you some new Scream merchandise that I have. The first 2 things are some new magazines. So this is something that I got at Target. This is the Ultimate Guide to Scream, talking about the franchise. So very happy with that. And I love the fact there's some Scream 2 love on the back. So very cool. And then the latest Horror Hound issue with good old Ghostface and, the Scream franchise talked about, including the newest movie. And then going to the theater, I was really excited to find this stuff, or that they had this stuff, and that is a Scream popcorn bucket, which I'm really happy with, and a Scream cup, which I think is really cool. So this stuff is going to be in the horror movie room, somewhere proudly in here. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my talk of Scream 2022 and my thoughts on the franchise in general, where I rank them right now. Let me know what you guys think of Scream 2022. What did you guys think of it? Do you love it? Do you not love it? What's your opinion on it? No spoilers down below, guys, for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but give me your thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of the Scream franchise. Where do you rank these movies? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, guys. And as always, you guys are awesome. And stay tuned for many more videos to come. I have a lot of great things planned. Something probably tomorrow. We'll see. If not, next weekend for sure. More live streams I will be starting soon. I'm thinking about some stuff and talking. I am going to be talking with people about getting them onto some streams with me. So stay tuned for a lot of great content on the channel, guys. Once again, thank you for your love and support. I really appreciate every one of you guys. If you've been following me from the beginning up until now, just thank you guys. Every one of you guys, thank you for your support and love. New subscribers, old subscribers, friends of mine, family, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for liking. But most importantly, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me, guys. And like I said, I've been on YouTube for 13 years, I believe, and it doesn't feel like that. It feels like I just started not too long ago. But your guys' support and love means a lot to me. So as always, you guys are awesome. You guys rock. In with the positive, out with the negative. Go eat some Skittles. So much love to you all. And remember to always be yourself because you're amazing and you're beautiful. I'll definitely talk to you guys later.